All right, welcome back into Gridiron Icon, the podcast. I am joined by my partner in crime, number 88, Mr. Preston Denard. How are we, sir?
My friend, I'm doing quite well. And one of the reasons is I don't know if you can truly see this, but if I turned around, you'd see the writing on the back. It's the USA Track and Field Championships this year in
Very
2024.
nice.
It was right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And guess who was here? I got to see and meet Christian Coleman and
Wow.
Noah Lyles. And they ran a hell of a 60. But anyway, folks, Albuquerque, New Mexico, you've never been here. Outstanding fun. Roy's here in this state, and you're going to find out all about it.
All right. Well, it's a bit of a teaser there. A nice segue. We have a very special guest this week on Gridiron Icon, and I'm really excited to dive into our visit. Our guest this week hails from Alberta, Canada. Is this our first Canadian, Preston?
This is our first Canadian, I think.
I'm not sure.
I've been to Canada.
I love Canada. We're going to talk about that. This gentleman was a fourth-round pick in the 1969 NFL AFL draft by the Houston Oilers. For you youngsters, that was a great team. Love you, Blue. Went on to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty as well as the San Diego Chargers. He's a three-time Super Bowl champion, a two-time All-Pro, a two-time Pro Bowler, and he won the Golden Toe Award in 1974. It was a very good year. One of the few players that have played in both the NFL and the AFL. Please welcome in our special, iconic guest this week, former Pittsburgh great Roy Gerela.
Yeah, get the applause. And hey,
there you go.
Hey, Roy, welcome, baby.
Thank you.
You know, if you live in New Mexico, Stacy, you know Roy Gerela. And I tell you what, the Steelers, they won a ton of championships, 6 or whatever it is. Roy's been in 3 of those things. Roy, you got 3 rings?
I got 3 rings.
Oh. And you know what, Roy? I'm going to let this be known throughout the whole land. Roy comes to a celebrity golf tournament in Albuquerque, New Mexico every year for us, for the ALS Foundation. I've never seen his rings. Roy, this year, you're bringing your rings, baby. I'll wear mine, but yours is going to stand out. And I want you to do it because Robin's coming. Because, you know, Robin can't wear his rings anymore with the fingers going all crazy.
I got too big.
All right, let me quit.
Is that the difference between a linebacker and a kicker? Is that how that works?
Well, some kickers get eat too much and kind of eat themselves out of the league too, you know. So I got a little bit too heavy. Now I lost a lot of weight. Now my rings don't fit because I got to get resized because I lost the weight.
Nice.
The fingers are much skinnier than they were before.
Wow. Okay.
Love it.
Roy.
I love it. We've got to dive into this because, we don't get enough of our special teams icons on this show, in my opinion. It's been a big week in the NFL with Matthew Slater retiring. Special teams is kind of under the spotlight. But it's even more rare to get somebody from Alberta, Canada. You got to give us a deep dive on your history, Roy, as a kid, how you came upon the sport. Was it your favorite sport? And what were your other interests growing up as a kid in Canada?
No, grew up in Canada. I grew up in Alberta. In fact, I grew up in Gerela, Alberta, until I was about maybe 3-4 years old. Then my father got a job in the largest pulp and paper mill in the world on the west coast of Vancouver, Canada. And so we all moved before that. You know, they were from the Ukraine. And they escaped all that and moved west and went to Canada. And the whole family, my grandfather and everybody all went together. And when he went to Alberta, that was like, what do you call it when they give you land to work on?
Oh, yeah. I know what you speak of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Homesteading.
Homesteading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a nice big house there. It wasn't the best, but it was doable. And we raised, you know, poultry and all that kind of stuff, and planted gardens and all that. That was their way of life until they got a job out there. And then he and his brother went up there and signed up and got jobs, came back, loaded the car up, and we all went up there. Don't forget, I'm the 10th of 10 kids.
I love it.
Okay. And so we went up to the coast of just north of Vancouver, about 300 miles. The Trans-Canada Highway runs from the east coast to the west coast, and where Trans-Canada Highway ends, just north of Vancouver, that's where I grew up.
Wow.
And
Love Vancouver.
it's only about 20,000 people, but now that town is dying out, and they lost the paper mill. And so when my father passed away when I was just starting the 9th grade in Canada, my eldest sister, she was 18 years older than me. She was married to a fellow that worked for the IBM company. He's American. And so the family kind of broke up because everybody was old enough to fend for themselves and go on. And so my mother says, you got to go with them. You'll finish school, you'll be in a better situation, because we're poor. And so we left and went to Tacoma, Washington. So I started my 9th grade in the United States. And then he got transferred to Rockville, Maryland. Oh. And then I finished my high school up in Honolulu, Hawaii. That was hard to take.
Wow. Yeah, oh, sure.
Yeah, that's rough.
And so
Vancouver to Tacoma to Maryland to Hawaii.
Hawaii, yeah.
And so my brother-in-law told me that, if I'm good enough in sports, in any kind of sport, that, you can probably get a scholarship to one of the universities or colleges. I said, hell, I'm just trying to graduate from high school. I wasn't a good student, just that I didn't have any place to study or didn't have any parental guidance because parents were too busy. So it was hard leaving, but it had to be done. And I understood that. And so after in Hawaii, I played football and baseball. And they didn't have soccer, but in Canada, I played ice hockey, baseball, soccer.
Wow.
When I was a kid.
Wow, man.
And I only spent about maybe 2-3 years from peewee to midget playing ice hockey. But didn't have the proper skates because on one skate, it was the blade was kind of crooked. Just a little bit. And so every time I stepped on it that way, it always took me to the right. So getting down, all of a sudden, it would take me to the right, and I couldn't go on. I didn't have the proper equipment as well. So I just played, after that, baseball and soccer. So soccer was my background mainly. And so in Hawaii, New Mexico State, Warren Woodson at that time, he was the head coach. Through my coach in Rockville, Maryland, who knew Warren Woodson, told Warren Woodson about me where I was in Hawaii because he kept in touch with me. He's the one that generated the scholarship for me to go from Hawaii to New Mexico State.
Oh, wow.
And so what I did was in my senior year, I sent him a 16 millimeter.
I love it.
Yeah, black and white, where I punted. I played defensive back, offensive back. And because I always thought when I was younger, the more you can do, the better off you're going to be,
Am I hearing old school 16 millimeter, half back, off D back?
Yeah,
I love it.
Go ahead, Roy.
I tried everything, in baseball, I was a catcher.
All right.
That was my best sport.
Yeah.
And,
add another one to
go.
the list.
Man.
And after my baseball practice, I used to go down and catch batting practice for the Hawaii Islanders, the AAA club.
Yeah.
And the scout that was scouting me at that time and got me to do this. And so I drove down after our high school practice to the stadium where the Islanders played and caught batting practice. I saw pitches I never saw before. The ball was coming pretty fast. All of a sudden, I learned how to put my glove up real quick. And
real quick.
One ball hit me right in the freaking forehead. And I tell you what, you learn real quick. But Ed Sadowski, who was a catcher back then, he taught me a lot of great moves and how to throw and all that kind of stuff. And then went to New Mexico State my junior year. We needed a kicker. So halfway through my junior year, Warren Woodson was having tryouts. And in the meantime, I was kicking on my own soccer style. And Freddie Glick, who played for the Houston Oilers, you probably heard of him, Preston, or no, Freddie.
Heard that name.
He was my college defensive back coach, and believe it or not, Preston, I started as a defensive back for Woodson for 3 years.
I just missed him. You just missed
me, man.
Imagine that.
Every time he came up to UNM, I said, hope that guy's not playing, man. He's on the roster. And so I started kicking, and all of a sudden Freddie Glick saw me out there all by myself before practice and after practice, and just watched me. And he walked over to me after one afternoon practice, and he says, Roy, he says, keep on doing what you're doing as far as kicking. He says, right now, he says, the NFL lacks kickers, period. He's right now, you could probably go and kick for the Houston Oilers. I was afraid of him. I'm just trying to get the ball off the ground,
Wow.
And so what I did was that Freddie says, I'll be out here with you before practice and after practice for 20 minutes, and we're going to kick. I'm just going to watch you because I don't know what the hell you're doing. Okay. But what I'm going to do for you is that next year's your senior year. I'll be here. He says, I can get the Houston Oilers to come out and take a look at you. I said, all right.
Wow.
So my sister and brother-in-law over in Hawaii were being transferred back to New Jersey. And they called me up and said that they're being transferred, blah, blah, blah. We have a free trip all the way through Asia and Europe and all the way into England and Ireland, Scotland, whatever, and we want you to go with us. And before that, I already decided that I was going to stay back in New Mexico State. And during the summertime, not going back home to Canada, stay there and just work on the kicking the whole summer. And that's what made me, because kicking in the pros, you had to kick off the ground.
Yep.
And you know what?
Wow.
I had a hard time. And then I was out there one day kicking. It was like in golf, you just try to hit the ball so hard thinking that you're just going to solve everything, It wasn't that way until the swimming coach, Coach Stacy from New Mexico State, came down to the stadium and I was kicking. I was in his class and he asked me if I can come down and watch me work out. And I said, sure. So he came down and he stood about 50 yards away and just watched for a while. And then while I was kicking, I figured, what's he doing down there? When is he going to come up here and say something? And he came up and he said, I didn't even see him come up, and he's about 10 yards behind me. And then all of a sudden I heard somebody behind me. I turned around and it was him. I said, Coach, I says, damn, I didn't even know where you went. He says, can I give you just one bit of advice? I said, sure. That's anything that's gonna help me. I'll try. He says, leave your left foot on the ground for as long as you can. Kick the ball, make good contact with it, and follow through. Leave the left foot on the ground for as long as possible. You know what? And that solved everything. The height, It's like hitting a golf ball and jumping off your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where's the ball going to go? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Line drive, you know, you may hit 1 out of 4 real nice, but try to do it again. But the technique and how to do it
Mm-hmm.
is big time. And so,
God, it's
so I worked on that, and then I kicked 2 or 3, and then he says, "Good job." He says, "That's all you need to do," and he just walked away.
Wow.
You know, but that little tip
Mm-hmm.
probably made me and put me on the right path. And my sister and brother-in-law was saying, you know, you never have this opportunity again, blah, 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 blah. I says, I'm still a young man. And I says, if I ever want to go to, I don't want to go to China anyway. Nothing over for me.
Yeah, I hear you.
Or Russia or whatever. You know, in fact, my mother told all of us, when you go older and you travel, don't go to the Ukraine or Russia.
Oh,
And
Really?
that was coming from them that experienced
way back when.
with the revolution.
unreal.
Because if they'll sense that you are from here,
Mm.
then they'll keep you.
Yeah, you won't be able to leave.
Won't be able to leave.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
And
Roy,
even my grandfather said the same thing because he used to get the Ukrainian newspaper sent to him.
mm-hmm.
And so I've always remembered that. And I told my sister and brother-in-law, if I ever want to go to Europe, I says, I can do it anytime as I get older and start working and have the money to go on my own.
Yeah.
I'd rather go on my own anyway. You know?
Roy, you had a wonderful pro career, wonderful college career. And after all that, and we're going to talk about all that, but I got to throw this little tidbit in. After you have been shown by that coach about what it was you needed to do to change your whole ball game, and it made sense to you. I got a wonderful story, Stace.
Hit us.
PJ, my fourth son, is now 22. Roy's know what I'm getting ready to say. We're coming back from an El Paso visit or something, and we stopped by. He called Roy, said, Roy, we're coming back through Cruces. We're going to Albuquerque. I think I had my 2 boys at the time and my grandson. And so Roy comes over and has dinner with us at the restaurant in Cruces. It's in the evening. He was gracious enough to come out of the home and do that. And we're sitting there. We sit, we eat, we do all this. All of a sudden, Roy and PJ, because PJ is a specialist. He's a kicker, punter, holder, all that. And he is going to be a senior in high school. And Roy, they get up, they move chairs in the restaurant out of their way, and Roy's standing there showing him how to take his leg and thrust and follow through and release and do all whatever they were talking about. And there's these 2 guys in a restaurant working on punting and kicking, striking the ball and all. It was the funniest thing. And I should have recorded it. It would have been a genius moment, but I didn't. I just took it all in. But the one thing I got from it, Roy, is you took the time to give back what somebody gave you at that moment. It made all sense to you because it made a whole lot of sense for PJ. So thank you for that. I hadn't had a chance to go back.
And I always remember where I came from, how I got to where I was, and who helped me along the way. And I didn't really mind the people that used to say, well, when I got drafted, people here would say no, because they expected other people to get drafted. And all of a sudden, I was the first guy drafted. And so I remember how the local people can turn against you too and say, hey, what did he do? He didn't do much.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. And
haters.
And they told me point blank, you'll never make it. It's too good to be true.
Wow.
Unreal. Super Bowl rings later.
And I used to say to people, that's okay. The only person that's going to determine that, if you're going to make it or not, is yourself.
Yeah.
And whether or not your mind is set properly, if that's what you really want to do and get after it, then you put all your energy into it. And that's all I did. Otherwise, I would have been over in Europe, with my sister and brother.
Traveling.
If I would have went, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, you would have 3 Super Bowl rings, and Stacy mentioned that earlier. Which one of those rings is more special, if they are at all?
Well, they're all special because they all mean different things, as you know, Preston.
Yeah.
And sometimes the first one is, this is it. Maybe sometimes you expected more or less or whatever, but I never expected more because I was never programmed that way as a kid. And but everything, I mean, just being drafted,
Wow.
Yeah.
Is actually made my life.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for all the people along the way that helped me, Freddie Glick and the swinging coach and trial and error that I put forth and all the energy. I mean, I kicked every day.
Wow.
And then my lady friend at that time, she says, she's a cheerleader. She says, I got drafted.
Oh.
I got drafted. And when the draft at that time, when they had the draft in April, I was over at her house during spring break.
Oh, were you?
and I read it in the newspaper, Gerela drafted by Houston in the 4th round. And so I was smart enough to read it about 4 or 5 times, but I couldn't believe it myself.
Wow.
And so I said, hey, Darla, as the draft came out, I said, I said, here it is in the paper. I got a little write-up. It says, Gerela drafted in the 4th round. You won't make it. She says, too good to be true.
Did not. No.
Yeah. I said, and I held my paper up here. I held the paper up here like this. And I said to myself, I don't need to be with this woman.
Yeah. There's a commercial like that out there.
I'm going to go on and do this, what I want to do.
I'll bet you regretted that move.
So she came down. She called me after I made it and asked if she can come down and watch the game in November, close to Thanksgiving. I said, sure, come on down. And then picked her up to the airport, and she said, about 5 minutes down the road, she said, when are we getting married?
Oh,
I don't think so.
I said,
drink on that.
yeah. I said, you know what, Darla? I said, I hate to tell you, but I am married.
I'm mashing my game.
But it's nice to see you.
She kind of fell back like this. She says, cross her arms. She says, you are? I said, yeah. He says, to whom? I says, to football.
Football, baby. Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And at that time, it took 3 years to get a pension.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I says, I want to be on my own. And I said, just want to focus on this, get 3 years in and do it that way. I said, we can live together. Oh, no, we can't do that. I said, that's fine, but I just thought I'd bring it up.
I love it.
So,
Boy, talk about different time. There'd be ladies lining up to live with a guy now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so she said, if we don't get married, if we don't get married this coming spring, then I can go ahead and get married in the summer. I said, tell you what you do. I says, I don't want to hold you back. I don't want to be responsible for anything that goes wrong in your life. And you're just starting out as a school teacher, got your master's degree and everything. You're smart. You're beautiful looking. And I says, please do me a favor and get married in the summertime and do yourself a favor. Because that's really what you want to do. But it's not what I really want to do at this time. That's why it says we can always live together. After a year or two, we can make a decision together. But you turn that down, so That's that's the path that you have to follow.
Wow, Roy had game. Let's
Yeah,
just
he
sum
did.
this up with Roy had game.
You the man, Roy. You the man.
No,
I mean,
I just, you only pass this through life one time, so you got to do it for yourself and for others, and protect yourself and do what's right for yourself as to what direction you want to go in.
Mm-hmm. Roy, tell Stacy and I about, or our audience too, about how Gerela's Gorillas, or the Gorillas Gerelas, and all that. How did that start? Is that official fan club, or just a group of folks the guys that said, we're with him? How did that get started?
Well, they tossed the name around a little bit, and they said to themselves, they all came from Portview, which is about 15 miles outside of Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And after one game, I think it was last preseason game, they said that we're going to form a fan club for the season on your behalf. We're going to call it Gerela's Gorillas.
Wow.
I love it.
That is so cool.
I said, please,
Franco's army, move over.
Please do not. I said, please do not do that. I don't want that.
Really?
That's going to be the only banner in the stadium. Plus, through the NFL, as Preston, you may know, and through the NFL, that no banner, only television banners are allowed up on the wall.
Yep.
You can't have any fan clubs. And that says you can go talk to the Steelers about it or talk to the NFL about it. I said, they're going to turn you down.
Mm-hmm.
And which they did.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said, well, there you go. I said,
Didn't stop them.
I said, good. I said, I'm out of here. I don't have to worry about that shit on the wall.
No. It's there. So how did it stay live? What happened?
I'm just going to say, once they all said, no, you can't do that. They said they all got together because they're season ticket holders. And they're middle-aged people. Okay. And they go there and have a great time. They don't bother anybody. And they have a great seat. And then where we come on the field in Pittsburgh, they're right there. Mm-hmm. And the banner would be hanging down the corner of the end zone, right?
How sweet.
And so we're going to do it anyway without that. So I said, no, please don't do it. So I left it at that. And the next game, Terry Henry says, Roy, he says, I checked the field. Guess what? Gerela's Gorillas sign is out there on the banner.
They did it.
Yeah. I said, no. He said, yeah. I says, are you shitting me? He says, no. He says, it's there. He said, I think it's gold, black letters, a gold background. He said, it looks beautiful. I said, no, it doesn't.
Roy didn't want it.
I don't want all that stuff, Too much pressure. You're not pressure as it is. And so I asked them, why you want to have a fan club? And they said, because we had Jane Bingo, we had
Ringo.
This other guy, forget his name, but he's straight out kicker that could only kick it maybe about 25, 30 yards.
Oh.
And
the NFL?
Ouchie.
Yeah. Well, he traveled throughout the whole league, I think.
I can't imagine why you forgot his name.
I know, really. Who is that?
Yeah.
Who?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were in a golden era for kickers with the Tony Fritches.
Was Efren
Go
back
ahead,
then?
Ray.
A little bit later.
Oh, Roy.
I was in an era where Jan Stenrud in the Gogolats kicked.
Gogolat, yeah.
See, Preston,
I mean,
1969, another award that I had was that I played in the 1969 College All-Star game.
Oh, yeah. Now, were you just a kicker or did you play DB?
But get this, I got the letter from Otto Graham from the Chicago Tribune.
Yeah.
Chicago Tribune, right? Inviting me that I was selected as a kicker to participate in the call with the Calls All-Stars, being the kicker to play against Joe Namath and the New York Jets, who won the Super Bowl that year by beating the Baltimore Colts.
Was that to be played in Chicago?
Yes.
That game? Okay.
Yeah. And I looked at it. I says, they got the wrong guy.
Roy.
I says, it's impossible for me to be awarded this award, beautiful award. So I had Keith Colson, who was the athletic director at New Mexico State at that time. I went to him. I said, Keith, please read this letter. I said, I read it 3 or 4 times. I says, I still can't believe. I think they got the wrong guy. So he read. He said, congratulations, man. He said, it's a big award to play in that All-Star game. I said, I think they got the wrong guy. I said, I did okay, but could have done better. But there's got to be somebody better somewhere. And I made him call Otto Graham right there. Call him and ask him and tell him to make myself feel wanted when I go, or belong there. And so, we used to, we had the team go out, the scouts go out and evaluate everybody as seniors coming out, and you're the top one. That's holy
incredible honor.
Yeah.
And nervous because, you're there with all these high draft picks and soon to be, and you wonder if you're worth it.
Apparently you were, sir.
Well,
that's amazing.
In my eyes, no. In other people's eyes, yes. So I was kind of hard on myself. And that's probably one thing I did personally when I was playing. I was always, nothing seemed to be good enough, And another thing I didn't know on the pro level was how to practice, because you have 12 or 14, 16 games, and it's a long haul. And so how do you practice every day of the week? And when I was with Houston, what happened was halfway through, I kicked every day because I thought I saw everybody else working. So everybody thought, I was thinking that everybody would think that I'd be working too. And so halfway through the year, my leg was dead. And it just seemed listless. And so I just took a few days off and it came back, and I says, there you go. I said, I got to start taking some time to rest.
God, that really says a lot for coaching during that time period, because you were kind of calling your own shots.
It's the thing, but the coaches, get this. When I went to Pittsburgh, and their first practice, met them in Cleveland, and Coach Noel came out. I flew into Cleveland, and Coach Noel asked me. I got there just in time for pregame warm-up. The pregame meal was being finished. And Coach Noel came up to me. He said, Roy, he says, nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. He says, we need you. He says, can you kick off tonight? I said, yes. He said, I know you just flew in. I said, yeah, he goes, I can do that. And I says, because we don't have anybody that can kick past the 10-yard line. I said, okay.
Wow.
And so that was on a Saturday. So on a Monday morning, we had a kickoff because they had 2 kickers in camp, one from Wales, and the other one was from a draft pick from fourth round pick from Nebraska. And so everybody stopped. The practice was stopped early, and then we kicked. Everybody's watching. I said, holy shit.
No pressure.
So
no pressure.
we hit about 4 or 5 field goals each, and went back every time and side to side, and ended up with kickoffs where I just kind of blew them away on that. And so after practice, I was on one sideline and Coach Noel was on the other side talking to these other 2 kickers separately, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I figured, well, I guess I'm done. So I'll start to just slowly walk towards the locker room. And then he comes running over, right? And he puts his hand on my shoulder. He says, Roy, he says, I'm glad you're here. He says, and soccer style was a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he admittedly said, I don't know what you're doing. He said, I can't coach you. He said, I don't understand the style of kicking. But he said, but this is the future, I've been told. He says, you'll be my kicker for this year. Mm. And in that sentence, the most important word was this.
Yeah.
And he didn't emphasize it, but the way he said it, you'll be my kicker this year. Well, prove to me that you can do it. He said, I like what you did in Houston for 2 years. He says, you set some records down there. I said, yeah. And he says, and the other coaches also cannot help you because they don't know a damn thing about
That is so cool.
And he's laughing, right? He says, and they have a hard time with their own position. So,
wow.
He says,
I love that story.
Nobody can help you. I said, Coach, I said, you know what? I says, great. I said, I'll do the best I can for you. I'm my own coach. Mm-hmm. And I says, wow. And I says, I'll be ready to go. And I said, I'm going to do the best I can. And then hopefully it's good enough for you.
Were you the only soccer style kicker at that time? Or were there others?
No, there are others.
Okay.
But others that are just trying to make it.
Yeah.
But as far as playing on a team, at that time there's only me, or the Stenerud before me.
Yeah.
And then there was, and as far as making it, I was next. I was after him.
Wow.
And then there was Horst Mohlmann, that was a German guy that played soccer, and he tried out with Cincinnati, and he made the team. Kicking soccer style. And then they slowly were creeping in over the next 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Because in college they weren't kicking soccer style.
Right.
And so it took the college kids a few years to get hang of it.
And you look at the NFL today, and kickers get a bad name, right? Like, either everybody loves them or they kind of walk away from them down the sideline. Can you just give us in 30 seconds what it was like for Roy Gerela to walk into a locker room with Mean Joe Green, Jack Lambert, Mel Blount, L.C. Greenwood, and look around? Did they embrace you as one of their teammates as a kicker?
Yeah, they embraced me in a different way as far as the position, because after practice, when I was kicking, I decided to kick after practice was over. And then I told Dwight White and Joe Green and I think it was John Banaszak. Because they kept on asking me, what part of the foot do you kick? You hit the ball with. So I says, just watch me. And so I was about 35, 37 yards out, hitting them, and they're looking up like this, and they're looking at me like, Dwight White says, how do you do that? Dwight, it's magic, man.
Magic. Love it. Oh,
unbelievable.
Dwight, that's your size 14 or 15 shoe. Joey, you're the same way. I see you guys can probably kick that ball up in the stands.
Yeah.
The guy got a small foot.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
You know, so they occasionally they used to on the passing after practice they always used to hang around anyway, work on their weaknesses and stop by, watch me kick a little bit, and just walk off. Sometimes Coach Snow would get about 7 yards away and just stand there, you know, and just make sure the ball's going up in the air.
I just want to see you do your job.
Over Terry Henry says, "Fuck, you better don't fucking no Bobby Walden punter. He was a punter in my holder." He said, "There he is. He's fucking with you again, Roy."
That's a good thing.
That is.
He says he's checking your height, you know, and plus if the ball goes through or not. So because you look around like this, you know? Yeah. And so
that is so funny.
So special.
It's time for them to relax too and have some fun and poke fun at one another. But as far as demeaning somebody, I never felt that, never experienced it. You know, with those guys, they're all great guys.
Yeah. And
I always thought that Terry Bradshaw, who was right next to me in at the locker, Terry Hanratty. Every day I says Terry Hanratty is All-American. Terry Bradshaw, probably All-American. I don't know if I'm Louisiana Tech, but I played against him in college.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Terry, I said, "Shit, you're the biggest guy on that team."
Wow.
You know?
And he's a quarterback.
Yeah, Joe Green was the same way. Joe Green was the same way. We played against. He went to North Texas, same as Dwight White. And I asked Joe. I says, we had an All-American by the name of Rick Hackley. As soon as I mentioned the name, he smiled. I said, "Remember playing against Rick Hackley?" He said, "Oh, yes, I remember." I said, "Yeah, you knocked him out of the game. I think you had a concussion, a broken nose, and blood running all over his face and cut over his eye." I said,
"Wow."
I said, "He was up for All-American too, but I guess he didn't make it."
Goodness. I mean, here we are talking to a guy who is part of arguably, someone say the greatest dynasty in the NFL history. That and the 60s Packers maybe, but unbelievable, Roy. We could probably spend another hour asking you a zillion questions, but we're going to be sensitive to your time. We got to get into Preston Denard's 2-minute drill. This is where it really gets good.
We got to get into the 2-minute drill.
I mean, we can't pass up on that, but what a pleasure having you in here tonight. Thank you so much. And we'd like to have you back in the future because we left about 6 million questions on the table.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you how my career ended, but we can say that for another time.
Oh, no, we got to hear that part.
I believe there's a torn groin muscle in this story. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
What happened was that I experienced a little bit of tightness in my groin area and the connective tissue. And we were playing a game against Oakland, and I rested the whole week, and also the right side of my abdominal muscle on the connective tissue. And so the doctor says, "Well, save yourself for the game time," and he says, "And I'll give you a shot." And then you go out for a pregame warm up to see if you're going to be okay. I said, "All right." So the Dr. Bess, he must have been about 6'6", 6'4", a real deep voice, He grabs the. Preston probably experienced this where they grab your injured part, your ankle, wherever's hurting, they grab it real hard and squeeze it. I said, "Oh my God, don't do that, man! Shit." And so he had to bring out this needle, man. Had to be looked like it was about a foot long. I said, "Shit, you can put that all in me?"
No.
He's just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Don't worry. So we did that. I went out and it didn't take, and I knew that I was in trouble. But the next year, I only kicked maybe one time or two times during practice. I saved my other time for the game. And the worst thing I hated was all during the week, during practice, up until Saturday where we worked on special teams, I was never given a look with a rush when they were kicking field goals.
Yeah.
And so I asked Chuck Noll, one time before practice where he's coming out, I walked over to him, Chuck, can I talk to you for 1 minute? He said, yeah. He said, hurry up. So he said, what do you want? He says, I just want to know if I can get about 2 or 3 live kicks under pressure, sometime during the week. He looked at me like this. He says, no, he said, we don't have time. He kept on walking. I says, and Bobby Walden, who was a punter, man, he laughed his ass off, man. He says, I told you so. I told you he was going to give you shit.
Oh, boy.
But don't miss that game winner, huh? Oh,
No,
man.
don't
Yeah,
miss it.
but anyway, getting back to the injury part, then all year, that's what I did. But and then the next year, it got worse. So I went to, other than the team doctor, I went to 2 specialists in Pittsburgh, doctors, and to see what was wrong with me. And they both said that your next kick could be your last.
Ooh.
And if it's your last, then you're gonna have a hard time walking because you've got the right groin attachment and attachment from your lower right side of your abdominal muscle. The attachments, they're partial separated, and that's why you can feel it getting tight when you kick. Yeah. And so I figured, well, he says, if you can just cut your practice down and kick easy and just save it for the game. And that's what I did for 2 years.
Really?
Until I couldn't go anymore.
Yeah.
And so Chuck had to cut you, right? So I walked in his office. I says, Chuck, I was smiling. I was happy. I says, Chuck, I says, you know what? I says, you're doing the right thing.
Wow.
I said, I can't go anymore. I said, I got partial separations of my groin and my abdominal muscle, and my last kick could be my last. I'll have a hard time walking after that. I said, I don't want to push it. But you're doing the right thing. I just want to let you know, and I thank you for the years that you've given me to play in this league.
Unreal.
That doesn't happen today. That does not happen today. Not at all. Real men back in the day. I'm glad.
You're not even close.
Yeah.
And so,
guys.
And so what happened was that after that, after about maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I felt real good. Guess who calls me? Was
Chargers?
No, the wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins.
Duriel?
Huh?
Duriel Harris?
No, not Duriel.
Oh, which one?
Number 42.
Oh, Paul.
Oh,
Paul Warfield. Let's talk about it. Yeah. Hey, let's open up a couple more minutes. Come on. Let's see.
Paul's a great guy.
Warfield.
Because he called me. He said, Roy, he says, we played golf together and these celebrity golfers. I said, yeah, we hit balls together, talked, and got along very well. He said, Roy, he says, we need a kicker. He says, and I'm reaching out to you to come out here and kick for us. I said, Paul. Really? I says, if I was well, I said, I'd still be in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's true. He wouldn't get out of Pittsburgh.
But Paul, I says, he wanted me to come out. That's Paul. I said, I'm not going to do that to you. You're a good guy. You're a great guy. You're in a position where you got to bring in, you got to evaluate players and bring them in, hoping that they're going to do something for the team. If not, they're going to look down on you. I'll be good for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll be gone. I couldn't go anymore. That's I'm telling you the truth, and I don't want them to fire you or be, and I'm part of it because I told you a lie. I said, but I'm damaged goods. And I said, I'm only good for 2-3 weeks. And I said, I'm not going to do that to you.
Wow.
That is something else.
And he said, you know what? He says, I thank you very much. He says, I'm just telling you the truth. And then 2 weeks later, San Diego called and wanted me to come out. I said, okay, I'll come out. And I was kicking okay. And then I knew it wasn't going to last. And on the third game, I got hurt and missed a field goal, and that was it. But I did that for one reason. I was well enough and smart enough as to how to practice to last that many weeks. To what? To qualify for the pension, because you have to play 3 games to qualify for a pension. Okay, and that's
Nice
what I did.
job.
So
Nice job.
Instead of them sticking it to me, I had a shot to stick it to them for me, so I can qualify for another year my pension.
Outstanding.
Good for you.
And that's how it all ended.
Wow.
Yeah, he's ready for the 2-minute drill.
Yeah, that 79 Chargers team was a loaded team too under Cordell, right? Yeah, Dan Fouts and John Jefferson and Charlie Joyner and oh my God. Wow.
Oh, come on. They were just fun to watch.
They were okay. They were okay. There was some other guy in 79 that was doing pretty good just across town.
Yeah, he had a good coach. He had a good coach too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's a good one. He's a good one. I got to try to get him out for the golf tournament too.
There you go.
All right.
Oh my
2-minute drill.
Okay.
2-minute drill. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
baby. Ready for that. All right. You ready for it, Roy?
I don't know.
Oh, you will. Stace, here we go, my friend. The
Rapid fire.
2-minute drill. Rapid fire for the Gridiron icon. All right, here we go, my friend. What are the other rapid fire? First thing that comes to your heart, grass or turf?
For me?
Yeah, for you.
Turf.
Turf. Okay.
Interesting.
Chargers or Oilers? Don't know if I'd have done that, but Chargers or Oilers? For whatever reason.
I have to pick the Oilers.
Oilers?
AFL. Okay. AFL.
Okay. Love it. All right. Here's a tough one, my friend. You live in New Mexico. Red or green? And everybody goes, what does he mean? Is that the
I know.
Yeah,
like green.
You know now.
I like green.
All right, folks, he's talking about red or green chilies from Hatch, New Mexico, right here in our state. All right.
Okay.
Punting or kicking?
Can I say both?
I was hoping you said both. Oh boy, Roy. Oh, that's so cool, man. Because you can't leave one without the other, right? You can't do it. All right.
Because I kicked for the Oilers. I punted for the Oilers for 2 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Had a great.
Want to save money on 2 guys.
There you go. Well, see, you stuck it to them. They stuck it to you. You guys stuck together.
Amen.
Soccer or football?
Football.
Your favorite movie?
Movie?
Mm-hmm.
One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest.
Classic. Jack.
Really?
Nicholson.
Yeah, that is a classic. All right. Your most underrated teammate at any level?
Most underrated teammate
at any level, high school, college, whatever. Somebody you probably thought didn't get the greatest break out there. Most underrated, not thought much of, but he was a heck of a player. Or she.
Could be a pro player.
It could be anybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to stick on that level.
Okay.
This one always stumps me.
Underrated?
Yeah, underrated. Somebody not thought much of. Didn't think
Ernie Holmes.
Ernie Holmes.
Oh,
yes.
Ernie Holmes.
Yeah.
Good grief. Yeah.
Boy, did they
what
have
a
some
beast.
ballers.
Ernie Holmes for a
God,
period
that
of
team.
a couple of years was better than Joe Green.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he was
Wow.
good. I didn't realize that, but
And
you were there.
And so now you have a guy like Jack Lambert playing middle linebacker.
Oh, good grief.
And now you have Joe Green on one side and Ernie Holmes on the other side being double teamed. Being double teamed.
Wow.
So who's he one-on-one with? Right back? So as soon as you see the hole open up, he's right there.
Wow.
He plugs it up, right?
Roy, you called it. You called it. Okay, here's the next one. Your greatest football achievement, personally.
Greatest football achievement?
Your greatest football achievement.
It could be a team or it could be a...
Yeah, no, just whatever you think
Anything.
your greatest achievement. It could be team, individual. Your call, brother.
Greatest achievement for myself.
Oh.
Be a two-headed thing.
Okay.
Be, making All-Pro my first year because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because I wanted to feel what it felt like and go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, and with those two things, I don't know what else that I can do.
It's incredible.
Well, you can just answer this last question, which is the biggest one of all. Yep. You ready for this, my friend? And don't think long, but think hard. Okay, who plays Roy Gerela in a movie about your life?
My life.
Who would you choose to play you about you? And don't say Denzel.
Oh, no.
For one reason or another.
See, it would be
Brad Pitt.
No. You know what? That could work. Yeah, that could work. Brad Pitt. Who do you say, Roy?
I'm not really too familiar with the movie stars.
Well, it don't have to be movie stars. It could be anybody you would choose. You know, Stacy might take a shot at it.
I'll do it. You could teach me how to kick.
Yeah.
I'd probably pop my groin on the first day of practice. I'd hurt my groin. He'd be like, yeah, that's it. That's my life.
No. You won't have that much room. You'll be in a restaurant somewhere in Portland or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Well, my friend, we may hold that one for you. Think about that over the next few days. Who would play Roy Gerela in a movie about your life? But in this movie right now, nobody plays it better than you. We have certainly enjoyed everything. You got one?
Yeah, Bobby Darin.
Bobby.
Oh,
Darin.
Okay. Wow. He went into the archives there.
Yeah, you did. You went down deep.
Because he's a Canadian.
Okay.
And he's Canadian.
There you go.
Yep.
And he's Canadian. Keep it all in the family.
Boom. I love it. Yeah, I can see the resemblance. That's funny. Okay. All right. Stuff. Very nice. This has been an absolute pleasure with the great and the iconic Roy Gerela, he of Dynasty, of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a whole bunch more. Thank you so much for joining us, Roy. This has been amazing.
Thank you very much. I had a great time, and thank you very much, both of you, for treating me well and leading me on to a lot of different things and put me to the test.
Oh yeah, we all got put to the test, but we work well as a team. I love it.
That's right.
Roy, thank you.
An absolute pleasure, folks. For you listening out there, whether you're a Steelers fan, you remember those Oilers, or you just want to listen in on another iconic interview, join us on Gridiron Icon. You can find us at gridironicon.com, all the usual suspects and places, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. And to the great Roy Gerela, a big thanks. Any parting shots there, number 88?
Well, Preston, thank you very much for for your input and for your tough questions. And
Tough.
same way with you. You helped me be guided along the way, and had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
Good.
Great
We may
stuff.
be competitors, but we are teammates of the same game.
There
Love
you
you.
go.
God bless you.
Th-
We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Thanks, Roy.